we learned about the battle between the two souls, how that works in the heart, and we learned a little more about the tzaddik and the rasha and what they really are. And then finally, in 9, 11, like 12 through 15, we learned about the Beinoni, which is the hero of our book, and that's really the ideal that most of us are actually able to attain. Although we're supposed to try and be tzaddik, we know that most souls aren't capable of attaining that level. That's something that, in some sense, you're born with. But every soul can be a Beinoni. And we learned that a Beinoni is actually a very, very high level where, from the outside, a person would mistake them for tzaddik for their whole life. You could look at them for 20 years, and you could even see every thought they had, and they'd be no different from a tzaddik. And so a Beinoni is a very high level that never even wavers for a moment in thought, speech, and action. However, in terms of the midot, in terms of the internal aspects of their soul, they actually you would mistake them for a rasha, right? A regular rasha. The same way, if I sat with a Beinoni and saw every word and every behavior and even could see every thought, I would think they were tzaddik for sure. I couldn't tell any difference. If I had a scope that could see the attributes of their soul and could see what was going on in their heart and all the crazy ideas their heart was sending up to their brain to consider, and the brain was pushing away, I'd say this is a rasha, right? I mean, look at this urge, look at that urge, he wants to say this, he wants to think about this, he feels like doing this, but none of that actually reaches the level of sustained thought, right? So if all I could see was the midot, was the internal emotions, call them, of the soul, I think I was looking at a rasha, and if all I could see was the behavior, thought, speech, and action, I think I was looking at a tzaddik. Very, very rare individual. It's a very, very high level. And then in chapters 16 and 17, we learned our first technique, which is called the long short path, and that is essentially meditating on divine concepts, and therefore using the mind to control the heart. Because although the Beinoni is in this extreme state where their behavior is way up here at 100 and their emotions may be way down here, we do eventually want to bring the emotions up as well. We want to be able to think, speak, and do with more feeling, with more love and more respect and awe. And so by meditating, we can gradually, over a lifetime even, bring the midot of the soul closer to the external behaviors. And in so doing, we can also elevate, as we said, the Torah and mitzvahs around us, so that they grow wings, love, and awe, so that they elevate to the different worlds, and we repair the world. We work on ourselves, and we create better character traits, all kinds of amazing things. But that's done by meditating to create emotions, and that's the essence of the meditative path we learn. The long short path is that I can direct my mind to meditate on anything, no matter what my emotions are pointing at. I can think about whatever I choose, even the opposite. And if I meditate profoundly on something, that will generate emotions. And it's near to me because those emotions, even if they're not, as we learned in chapter 18, driving fiery emotions of love and awe, if they cause me to do the thing, even those, as we call them, tvuna emotions that cause me to do the thing, those are very near to me, and those I can actually use to elevate Torah and mitzvahs just like I could with revealed emotions, right? So we meditate, we create, even if necessary, these tvuna emotions. Those drive us to think, speak, and act, and that does everything that would have happened had I been, that elevates the Torah and mitzvahs the same way they would have been elevated had I been a tzaddik with fiery emotions. That kind of emotion, the emotions in my heart that cause me to behave, those are near to me. Those I can generate about anything. They're in my power. And those I can use as my main tool to elevate the world and elevate my own animal soul. That sounds familiar to everybody? Is that something okay? Well, it's just doing it, right? Doing it. It's something, it's once you've done it for several months, then it just has a different reality. And I say, when I'm in a situation in life, and I'd like to behave better than my heart wants me to behave, let's call it that, I can now focus back on whatever my meditative focus was, So perhaps it'll be surom marom enechem, lift up your eyes, the message hidden within the Shema. And if I take 10 seconds in this situation to focus my mind on that, I will generate those tuna emotions. And then rather than looking at the situation from my own vantage point, how dare this person, whatever, I can lift my eyes up and I can say, oh, divine providence. This person is here to learn something from me, something from them. It's some form of a test. There's someone that's aware that I'm in this test and is watching to see how I do. And now I may behave very differently and more like a Beinoni and less like a Rasha. Right? So that's what we're getting at. And once you do it, and once you apply it in a situation, those of us who are working on that in that way, you'll see it's very satisfying and it gives you a taste for more. Now, chapter 18 and 19, chapters 18, there's 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 chapters, right? So it's funny, the long path took 2 chapters to explain because it's simple. Go meditate, make emotions, done. The short, long path takes 8 chapters to explain, but it actually is shorter to apply in that once you understand it, this is something that doesn't take months or years or a lifetime to create these emotions, to generate them so that they'll be accessible to me. This actually is something that I can apply immediately once I understand it. And it is complementary in that no matter how good we get at the long, short path, we're going to hit bumps because our teacher in life knows our level, and a good test is always going to challenge us. There'll always be those few questions where you're, I'm not sure what this is about. This seems like it should be on another exam. Right? A good exam will do that, and so life is like that. When we hit those moments and we feel like we may fail at living up to our own levels, that's where we take this new technique, the short long path, because it works like a shot of adrenaline, and it gets you to a higher level on a short term, and will get you through those bumps where you felt like you might have failed. And you'll see why once we learn what the technique is. But in essence, what it is, the main difference is where, let me find my page, there you go. So where the long, short path was about generating emotions through meditation by having my mind control my heart, by meditating and generating new emotions, even through tefuna. The short, long path is about uncovering or connecting to an emotion which is already there. An emotion which is already there. So here in this path, I don't have to create anything. I barely have to meditate on anything. There is a focus. There is an internal dialogue that I use to uncover this pre-existing love. But it's not. You don't have to sit and meditate for 20 minutes every morning for 6 months for it to be effective. It really is like that. And the difference is, if I have a love that's pre-existing, if I have an old friend from childhood that we were best friends, but life took us to different cities. We didn't see each other for 10, 15, 20 years or whatever. And suddenly we find ourselves together as a surprise. Oh my God, what happens, right? Suddenly both our faces light up and we're filled with this warmth inside and there's this animation and we want to share everything. There's this immediate love that emerges with all kinds of energy. We've probably all had that experience, yes? Now, where was that love for the past 20 years? Did I not love them? I didn't even think about them, right? Or maybe once in a while. But we weren't on each other's minds. We weren't expressing a love. So was that love gone? No. What was it? Dormant, latent, hidden. So that term in Hebrew is misuteret. Misuteret. So the love we're using now is not a love that we're generating by meditation. The love we're using now is an ahava misuteret. That's going to be a key word related to hester, hidden, right? So when I met my friend, the love was always there. I always loved them, but it was latent. It was hidden. It wasn't consciously on my mind, but it was there. I didn't have to sit and meditate on how wonderful our friendship was and how great it was to meet them. It just, boom, it arrived, right? No work on my part. Compare that to if I met a new person and someone said, I want you to love this person, right? And that's basically theater, right? When I was in theater, right, if you were a lead, you meet a cast, and you had to basically say, I need you to hate this person, I need you to love this person, I need you to be fighting to overcome this person. That was theater, and great actors can do that. They can somehow generate love for someone they've never met that maybe half the actors were not even that sexual persuasion, but yet you believed it, right? And so it's very difficult. It's a whole craft. There's people who are masters at that and study their whole lives at generating an emotion that wasn't really there. But for those of us who aren't actors, and in real life, if a boss of mine were to say, here's a new employee, I want you to love them. You're going to be best friends. You're going to, have great joy for each other. You'd really have to sit and focus on the person and their qualities and learn about them and spend time with them. It would take time to generate any kind of real love. And certainly, I don't know how you'd ever get to the level of how you responded when you met that old friend, right? That's just genuine. That's just already there. So if that makes sense, that's the kind of love we're dealing with. And the Alter Rebbe explains in this meeting with us and in this Yechidus that in fact the quality of our divine soul is such that it's not even that the divine soul has the emotion. Right? It's not even that the divine soul has that love and therefore we're able to love God easily. It's that is what the divine soul is. The divine soul is, its whole identity is a love of God, and contained within that a fear of God. And so that's why every single Jewish person, no matter what their supposed background, no matter what their supposed level of education, no matter what their supposed commitment to Judaism, every single Jew has within them this divine soul, which is a love and also a fear of God. And just like when I meet that old friend, all I have to do is just, oh my God, Matthew Kleiner, oh my, you're right. I mean, we'd have a whole afternoon of like laughing and sharing where we've been, right? So it's the same thing with this love. If we want to find profound emotions that will power us through a challenging moment, then we use this short, long path, and we uncover a love that's already there because that is our identity. And there's no question. It's not, you can't say, well, I don't go to synagogue that often, or I never got an education, or only one of my parents was Jewish, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. If you're Jewish and you have a Jewish soul, that is the identity of this divine soul, this Nefesh Elokit, and we can use that when the long, short path feels like it's going to fail us. We can use it to suddenly have that burst of love and awe. Kind of makes sense as an introduction? Yeah. All right, let's get started on chapter 18. So, why don't we let's read this introduction. I like this summary introduction. It's better than what I just said. So why don't we start with 253.
With love and awe of God. He explained that through contemplating God's greatness, every person can come to experience such love and awe. Not every man, to be sure, is a tzaddik, with his heart under his control. But everyone's mind is under his control, and he can focus his mind in meditation on any subject he chooses. Even if the love and awe produced by such meditation do not make themselves felt in the heart in a revealed way, they will at least appear in his mind and in the recesses of his heart as an attitude of love and awe. Even this detached form of love and awe is sufficient to motivate one to observe the mitzvot and will enable the mitzvot so motivated to soar heavenward as though he had observed them with a true love and awe of God actually felt in the heart.
Makes sense? That's the long, short way. We can all do that. We can direct our mind, create fluent emotions, and elevate the world. Go ahead, next.
But it cannot truly be said of love and awe, which must be created by the way of meditation, that their attainment is very near to everyone. Meditation requires knowledge of the subject at hand and intellectual predisposition. If one's understanding of God's greatness is scant, or if he lacks the intellectual capacity for meditation, how is it very near to him to observe the mitzvot with love and awe of God?
So here, and you'll see that we're taking this verse that the whole book is based on, Ki karov elecha devar me'od bificha ulvavcha lasoto, and We looked at it is near to everyone, as in I can create two emotions because I have a brain in my skull, as the Alter Rebbe said. But now he says, well, hold on, what about this word me'od? Very. Okay, it's near to me, but come on, is it very near? So, ki karov elecha advar me'od bepicha levacha lasato, me'od, that is the root of the whole next 8 chapters, of him explaining, the Alter Rebbe explaining how it is not just near to me, but now it's very near to me. And so the spoiler is, it's very near to me because it's already me. Right? That love of my old friend was always very near to me because it was inside me. I didn't need to do anything. It just appeared as soon as it was triggered. It was right within. This is even more so. Right? Even if I had no experience of connecting with God in a Jewish context, that's actually what my soul is. It's not even an experience of my soul. That's the soul's whole identity. So it's very near to me because it's right there inside. I'm going on.
In the following chapters, the Alter Rebbe will therefore explain an alternative method of attaining the love and awe of God, a method that may be used even by one with the aforementioned shortcomings. It consists of arousing the natural love of God that lies hidden in our heart of every Jew, a love that is his birthright, his inheritance from our patriarchs. No meditation is needed to arouse it. All that is required of him is to recall and to make himself aware of this love, and he will be motivated by his recollection to observe mitzvot. Since no meditation is required to create them, such law and awe of God are indeed very near. They are accessible to all.
Does that make sense?
Does this have to be somebody who's born Jew, or can it be also for those who are?
Question: does this have to be somebody who's born Jewish or someone who converts? Will this apply? So technically, when someone converts, a divine soul which had been until then in a surrounding format with them, not consciously affecting or connecting to them, now actually is directly connected to them, and they always were Jewish from that sense because that divine soul was there in a surrounding capacity. But now that soul is connected like yours and mine, and everything applies.
Okay.
So there's absolutely no difference between a Jew by choice or a Jew by birth. ולתוספת ביור באר היטב מילת מאוד, שבפסוק כי קרוב אליך דבר מאוד וגומר.
To explain more clearly and more precisely the word very in this verse, for this thing is very near to you. The word very indicates that it is an extremely simple manner to serve God with one's heart, with love and fear of God. In the previous chapter, the Alter Rebbe explains that the love of God is really attainable through meditation on God's greatness, whereby one can generate at least the intellectual love, Guna. Yet it cannot be said of a profound meditation that it is very near to you.
Right? So, okay, it's near to me. Okay, I have a brain, I can think about anything, I can meditate on anything, I can generate maybe these two emotions, that can lead me to action, I can do it. That's near to me, I get you. But very near to me? I mean, I do have to sit and meditate, I do have to learn the information, what to meditate on. I do have to do it with some sense of genuine focus. I mean, I can't get that wrong. It's very near to me. That's a bit of a stretch, right? So here's what the Alter Rebbe says. No, it is very near in the sense that there's the generated emotions and there's the ahava mesuteret. There's the love that's already there. And that love is not just near to you, it's very near to you. It is you. Tzarich leda nemana. Ki af mi shedato ktsara b'diyat Hashem ve'ein lo lev lahavin b'gdulat ein sof baruch hu.
One should recognize with certainty that even the person who has only a limited understanding of God's greatness, so that he lacks the materials necessary for meditation, and he has no heart to comprehend the greatness of the blessed infinite God, his mind and heart are not suited to meditation, so that he lacks the tools of meditation.
Right, so yes, it's true. Anyone can direct their mind to any subject, but some people by nature are more, they enjoy the intellectual sphere and they gravitate towards that. These are people that just love playing chess or love reading about philosophy, and they just enjoy it. It's in their nature. There's some people that are less so, and enjoy other things, right? And not saying one is more useful than another. It's just human nature. Not everybody enjoys sitting and meditating on an intellectual concept. Not everyone has that as part of their personality. So what about that person for whom that's not their cup of tea to sit for 20 minutes in the morning and meditate on some Hebrew letters or whatever? Right? So is it really very close to them? So he says, yes, even that person, even someone for whom that's a struggle, and that's not their nature, and that's not what they choose to do, and they may never really naturally sit and meditate and enjoy generating emotions. This technique is very near even for that person. להוליד ממנה, דחילו ורחימו אפילו במוחו ותבונתו לבד.
To produce through meditation a fear and love even in his mind and understanding alone, how much more so he is unable to produce a vibrant, fervent love and fear.
Right, so it's difficult for this person to produce even these intellectual emotions, even this tfuna emotions. That's hard work. Even more so a fear that is really revealed in the heart. אף על פי כן קרוב אליו הדבר מאוד. לשמור ולעשות כל מצוות התורה ותלמוד תורה כנגד כולן.
Yet it is a very near thing for him to guard himself from transgressing the prohibitive commandments, through a fear of God, and to practice the positive commandments, which require a love of God. These together, comprising all the commandments of the Torah, and in particular the study of Torah, which counterbalances them all.
Right, so listen to what he's really saying. Even someone for whom this long, short path is not their sweet spot, is not their comfort zone, right? And really, it's never going to fit them very well. Even such a person, through the short, long path, can still do what? Can still practice every single commandment all the time, be a Bainani, and that includes the technical commandments. So that's a lot of rigor in terms of just living your life. That includes the spiritual commandments, right? Loving another Jew all the time, no matter what they're doing, right? Watching what I say all the time, no matter how juicy that story was, right? Recognizing the divinity in every situation, no matter how painful it is, right? Never expressing anger under any circumstances, even when the other person deserves it, right? Which is easy with me, because I never do, right? There you go. So I make it easy when not everyone's like me. Right? So literally in all these situations, this technique, even for a person for whom meditation is not their sweet spot, this can get them to the level of Bainani, where in every situation they will behave at their best. That's an amazing statement. And it's valid because this is a very powerful technique, because these hidden loves, if you look back in your life and you recognize what they are, they're one of the most powerful driving forces in our psyche, right? I mean, you have parents and children that maybe can't get along and can't figure out how to sit in a room and have coffee together for 20 minutes. And yet, we know that the connection is never gone. No matter how tricky the surface relationship is, no matter how tricky the conversation is, which is the top 6% of the relationship, we know that driving love, that driving connection is never gone. It's always there. Right? And as parents, we know that to our guts. Right? It's always there. Now, all day long, like in the past half hour, was I thinking about my kids? Did they cross my mind? No. Right? I'm focusing on something else. Maybe for an entire day, I haven't stopped to think about my kids, or I haven't connected to them emotionally. Does that mean that connection is gone? Of course not. I'm just focusing on something else. That's human nature, right? But underneath everything I'm doing, that love, that connection is driving. And if something happened, no matter what the state of the current relationship consciously, if something happened where I had to save them by giving up my life, no question, right? No parent would have any question. No normal parent, no normally balanced parent would have any question. So that love is there, that commitment is there all the time. It's never gone. It's the most powerful driving force in my life, perhaps. Yet it's not consciously on my mind all the time. But we know, with our children, if they were, God forbid, whatever, we would go through any lengths, we would travel, we would spend any amount of money, we would give up anything, we would cut off our right arm, we would do whatever it took to make sure that they were back on their feet. Right? So these hidden loves, they are just the most powerful driving force. And all that has to happen is it has to get triggered. I have to now realize it's up to me to protect, save, connect with my child, and now I'll be motivated to do anything. So that's why he makes such a big statement. Many people have never, what's the right word? Many people have never fully and honestly connected with the extent of how their divine soul loves and fears God. For some of us, it happens every now and then in life, and we recognize we might remember it. But many people, it remains not on our conscious minds and buried beneath a lot of stuff. But that doesn't make it any less powerful. And once I connect with it, just like my love for my friend, just like my love for my children, it can allow me to overcome anything. It can allow me to overcome anything external and anything internal that may stand of the kind of person I want to be in the world. So that's why, even if I'm not a big meditator and I'm not a big intellectual, this pathway can get me to the same goal. ובפיו, בלבבו ממש מיומקד ליבה באמת לאמיתו בתחילה רחימה.
He can fulfill, excuse me, he can fulfill all this in his mouth and in his heart. In the true sense of heart, that is, not only in the superficial sense of the word heart, which means to say in his thoughts, but in the true sense of with heart, namely the feeling from the depths of his heart, in absolute sincerity with love and fear, as opposed to the tuna emotions, which cannot properly be called love and fear. They are so designated only insofar as they motivate one's action. The love and fear of which the rabbi will now speak are emotions in the fullest sense of the word. But how can one acquire a true love and fear of God if he is incapable of meditation? The answer the author.
I'm looking at this as if for the first time. It's interesting. This sentence, בפיו לבבו ממש, מיומקד ליבה באמת לאמיתו בתחילו רחימו. And I don't think in all the sources I've looked, I mean the people that teach this, and I've reviewed a bunch and discussed it. It just occurs to me now that he's pointing out an example where this short long path, I'm thinking out loud here, is actually more powerful than the long short path. In that the long short path can create tvuna emotions which are consistent, which I can rely on, which I have access to. But here he's saying, no, you're going to generate actual emotions. The revealed emotions, the powerful emotions, the ones that actually are mamash in your heart, and not just in your heart, the depths of your heart in the true sense of the word. And I got to discuss with some people, because it seems like here he's saying, and often in circles that learn this, the short long path is kind of like the backstop. It's not really the best path. It's not the ideal path. It's for people that really can't meditate or aren't so comfortable. It's like it's plan B. But actually here he's saying, in plan A we created twin emotions. In plan B you're going to get the real stuff. This is burning emotions truly revealed in the depths of your heart. And I'm curious to see if there's any Hasidus written about how in the short long path, the advantage is that you actually go all the way to true revealed emotions. That's interesting. Are you reading it the same way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Is the word hidden and revealed interchangeable?
They're opposite. They're antonyms.
Okay.
Hidden means under something, and revealed means now it's.
So is it possible that it's the hidden part that makes the next level?
How do you mean?
A hidden emotion we brought out is a much more spiritually elevated situation than something that's very easy.
Oh, okay. So you're saying because it's hidden, it's more powerful because it's like it's a more rare thing.
You have to work harder at it.
Something we don't have our sense of I'm used to that, right? Like I wake up every morning and I make my kids cereal and they're used to it every day, so they don't appreciate it. But the one day a year that I make them birthday cake, that's kind of a hidden thing, and that's more special. Like that, like absence makes the heart grow fonder, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. That's a novel insight. I'm not sure, but that seems to be a true factor. Yeah. But I'm curious. I mean, we've a few people have learned this before. I don't think we ever focused on that. But am I reading this?
I think you are.
Yeah.
This gets closer to your heart.
Well, it is in your heart. It's already there.
It's already there.
Yeah, yeah, it's revealed because it's already there. It didn't, wasn't, you didn't have to create the intellectual thing and then kind of,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So you're like,
So-
whoa, my heart
no,
already
it's-
felt this.
It's already there.
So of course
You
it's
have
going to be
understand.
revealed.
Yeah.
I mean, of course it's going to be a palpable, call it. Yeah, but that's, I don't know, I find that interesting. I want to, bלי neder, I'd like to look more into that.
You put that first.
Shehi ahava misuteret. Here's the term. So you see at the bottom 255, misuteret from Hester. Shebalev klalut Yisrael shehi Yerusha lanu me'avotenu.
This is the hidden love present in the heart of all Jews, which is an inheritance to us from our patriarch. Since every Jew already possesses this love as an inheritance, he need not create it through the meditation. All that is required of him is that he arouse it and implement in his observance of the mitzvah. In order to explain how one goes about doing so, the author first discusses the characteristics of this love.
Right, so here's a key piece about this technique and where this love comes from and why we all have this love and why it's actually our identity. Because a lot of people think the way it works in Judaism is God decided to come down, and if you believe traditional Judaism, came down, took us out of Egypt, brought us to Mount Sinai, gave us the Torah, and therefore we're the chosen people to receive the Torah. And then if we, connect as Jews to the Torah and to mitzvahs and do good things, that maybe can create a love of Judaism and a love of God. And it's behavioral, really, right? We have this relationship, we have this behavior, and that's what creates this love. Here we're going to describe an entirely different dynamic where it's not because we have the Torah and mitzvahs to do, it's not because we have the history, it's not even because we have the relationship, it actually is our identity. Something changed after Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their wives, by the way, just as a side. In this text, we mention the men's names, but in this text, they consider a man and a woman who are married to be one soul. So when we say Abraham, we also mean Sarah, etc. And as Reformed Jews, we mention their names clearly, but in both traditions, they actually do include both of them as part of this phenomenon, right? So the husband and wife are actually one soul, and they were working together on this, if you like that. But once Abraham went through his life and opened up the channels of chesed and did all the sacrifices and tests that he did, it wasn't just that now all of his descendants were very special to God, and God chose to come and give those the Torah, and therefore, in his merit, God remembers it, and therefore we're chosen. Abram actually created a reality where now every one of his descendants would receive one of these divine souls. And the divine soul, it's not like the rest of the world in that it's not created. As we'll see, the divine soul is not a created thing. Like everything else comes out of divine speech and is being created as an entity that feels in some way to be distinct. But the divine soul doesn't get created. It actually develops out of God's sphirot. It develops out of the actual sphirot of the cosmos, and it flows directly out of those without being created. So in a sense, if the world is the story, the divine soul is the author of the story actually entering into the story itself. Without writing anything, without creating anything. Just, it's opening the book and reading it or thinking about it, however you want to look at it. I know we don't like my metaphor, but the divine soul does not get created. The divine soul flows directly out of the Sefirot. So that's what happened. When Abraham lived his life, Abraham and Sarah, they opened up a channel, and they now allowed every one of their descendants to receive this divine soul. And so it's not about, many generations that have learned Torah, so it means a lot to me, and God remembers me because of my ancestors. It's not just that. It's that my identity now is I have this divine soul, which is not even created. It is actually a part of God. And so love and awe are its identity. It doesn't have to learn how to love and awe, how to love and fear. That's what its nature is. Like a cheetah has spots and runs, right? So every cheetah, for every generation, is going to have spots and is going to run fast. And you can't say because, it's so far from the first cheetah, maybe it's only inherited less of that ability. That's just its nature. Does it make sense? Maybe not. We'll get back to that more. That's a big leap.
Yeah.
I'll admit. But that's where this love comes from. Because of the forefathers and the foremothers, now this divine soul comes to every Jewish person. And that divine soul is this hidden love and this hidden awe, which every one of us has. We inherited it. And what are some of the qualities of inheritance? Again, they speak to this idea that this is very close to us. If I'm 1 day old and I inherit a mansion from my great-great-great-grandfather, I mean, do I have to do anything to get that mansion? Right? Did I earn that mansion? Do I deserve that mansion? Right? Do I appreciate that mansion? Do I understand that mansion? Do I have any connection to that mansion? Maybe not. It could be in another city. But it's mine. There's nothing I can do to make it not mine. It's now mine. I've inherited it for no reason, with no effort, and with no knowledge necessarily also. So the love has that same quality. It comes down to every Jew automatically, no matter what, even without their consciousness, because it's an inheritance from something that happened with the first Jews in history. A great spiritual channel that was opened up.
It's this love that's always there. This is the love that's always there.
Yeah, hidden,
Hidden.
often hidden, but always there.
And sometimes never found. Sometimes found, sometimes
Well,
not.
I'll just say that. In one life or another, it's found.
Yeah.
It's always found. I feel like I lost us a little. Did I lose everybody here? I feel like the room kind of floated off for a minute. Any questions about that? Let's look at the Alter Rebbe's words. Okay? Yeah, I'm sure he'll bring us back. רק שצריך לבאר להקדים תחילה באר היטב שורש אהבה זו ועניינה. But we first preface a clear and precise explanation of the origin of this love, that is, which level of the soul it stems from, and its character, what sort of striving this love constitutes. There's a love of God which seeks a unity with God while still remaining a separate entity, a soul clothed in a body. There's another kind of love which is a yearning for self-extinction, and so forth. What drives contained in this love, which is our inheritance. Right? So we want to learn about this love, which nature. We learned there's many levels of every emotion in Jewish spirituality, and they're distinct. So is this the Ahavat Olam? Is it a love that relates to the world? Is it Ahava Rabbah, that's completely beyond the world? Is it a love that strives for self-extinction? Is it a love that has a sense of its own self, or is just about the pure joy of connecting to God? We have all these levels. We want to know what type of love we're dealing with. We want to categorize it.
For self-extinction.
Yeah, the divine soul wants to actually go back to its source. And what does that mean? That means not in the body anymore, not connected to my normal consciousness anymore. And for itself, now it is like a candle flame inside the ball of the sun. And now it's not even there. It has no more identity. So its deepest desire is to go back to its source where it's not even there. Just like the flame of a candle within the ball of the sun has no identity, no contribution, right? We looked at that metaphor more in Shari Chudemana, but that's what the divine soul wants to do. And our normal consciousness looks at that deep drive of the divine soul and thinks it wants to commit suicide, God forbid. Because the animal soul wants consciousness to continue, wants life to continue, wants to stay in the body.
Yeah, why wouldn't it want to stick around until it determined that it had some identification?
The divine soul?
Yeah.
That's not the nature of the divine soul. The divine soul, its nature is identification with the infinite, and therefore nullification of itself. It's completely buttal. It's completely nullified to God, and its only identification is godly desires, love of God, and awe of God. But its essence, the divine soul is about self-nullification, right? Only other-centeredness, and only what God would want of the situation. And its highest drive is actually reunification with God. That's why there's this battle between the souls. Because the animal soul, as we said in chapter 1 and 2, the animal soul looks at this divine soul and says, "You're crazy! You want to what? You'd like to leap out of this body and reunite with your source and leave me with no life? No." Right? So that's why they're at odds. But yeah, the divine soul is not so comfortable living in a body, functioning through the animal soul, and having to deal with eating and sleeping and all this self-centered stuff. That's not what the divine soul is about. Its identity is love and awe of God and identification with God, which means there's nobody else there, right? Because there's only God. Yeah, it's tricky. Yes?
Does love change according to what happens to
So what can happen to this love? Because the answer is, can this love change because of something that happens to you? For instance, something very bad, God forbid. Good question. And the answer is, what changes is it becomes more hidden, perhaps. That's the only way it changes. Just like my love for my child, they say something nasty to me, and they're really rude because they're a teenager and they've got all kinds of hormones in their brain. And so consciously, maybe I'm angry at them inside. I hope not to express it. And maybe that love now is buried deeper in my consciousness, and I'm walking around going, oh, and pulling up my hair. But it hasn't changed the love itself. It's only hidden the love more. It's the same dynamic with this love. Of course, things happen that we don't understand, and painful things happen, and that can cause me to say, why should I love God? But that's just a conscious cover. And the Alter Rebbe is saying, the divine soul never changes, never wavers in its love for God or in its passion in terms of that love.
The answer is the latent love of God and the hidden love of God the same thing.
Yeah. Latent and misuteret, you call it hidden, latent. Sometimes latent is not apparent, right? It's sort of hidden within.
Same thing.
Yeah. More hidden. Misuteret literally means hidden. Ve'ech hi Yerusha lanu, ve'ech nichlal ba gam dechilu. Also.
Awesome. How did this love become our inheritance? How does one inherit a love? And how is fear often incorporated in it? As stated previously, observance of the prohibitive commandments require a fear of God. Therefore, the statement that the hidden love in every Jew will lead him to observe all the commandments implies that this love also contains an element of awe.
Okay, so now I do want to continue the long, short path, and I do want to continue meditating. And I had in mind to introduce a new meditation today, but because we're at the beginning of Elul, there's another piece I want to share that's connected to this. So I'll leave it to you, whether you're watching at home or in the class, to find time this week to meditate and keep going with whatever focus you've been doing. I'll introduce the new meditative material next class, God willing. But I just want to share one piece that has to do with Elul that relates very much to this. And it has to do with a sikha that the last Rebbe of this tradition gave. I don't know what year. But it was also about the high holidays, and he described how there's 3 words in Hebrew that are so mistranslated to English that they basically are the opposite of what they mean in Hebrew. So if you hear the words in English, you're going to have, a 180 turned around understanding of what the concept is in Judaism, right? And they are tzedakah, tshuva, and tefillah. Tzedakah, tshuva, and tefillah. All 3 are so poorly translated that they're basically the opposite of what they mean. Right? So start with tzedakah. What does tzedakah mean? Charity. Very good. And so what's implied in charity? Charity means I'm a good person. I feel like giving something. Therefore, I decide to be generous and give it because I'm so good and I help another person. And that means that I'm a really generous person. That's kind of what charity means. You're being charitable. Right? What does tzedakah mean in Hebrew, though? Think of the root. Righteousness. Right? Does righteousness have anything to do with whether I'm a good person or not? Something is the righteous thing to do. Does that mean if I did that, now I'm a good person? I mean, it's righteous not to kill somebody. That makes me a good person. I didn't kill somebody. It's righteous to tell the truth. So I'm a generous person that I told the truth? No. It's what you have to do. So tzedakah means the right thing to do, the required thing to do, the necessary thing to do, nothing to do with my generosity. So when you give tzedakah, you're actually just returning money that was never yours to its purpose, and you're the channel. You may decide which avenue of tzedakah to give it to, but it doesn't make me a good person. It has nothing to do with my quality as a person. It's actually just a commandment, the righteous thing to do. It's called righteousness. So every time you hear the word tzedakah, if we can take that word charity and just discard it, it's actually the opposite, because giving tzedakah has nothing to do with whether I'm a good or generous person. It's just righteousness. Second one is tefillah, right? Tefillah means prayer, right? And I pray, may you this. Even in Shakespeare, I pray you'll come with me to prayer means asking, right? So making a request. So prayer, the word English, brings to mind an English speaker beseeching of someone, making a request of someone, hoping you'll get a favor from someone. That's kind of the root meaning of it. Tefillah actually comes from the word tofel, which means connection. Right? So maybe not the exact opposite, but certainly an entirely different dynamic. Right? When you pray, yes, sometimes you are asking things, but that's not the meaning of prayer. The meaning of prayer is not, I hope God sends rain, or I hope God, heals this illness. That's not the meaning. That's a part of prayer. The meaning of prayer is connection. I just want to have time with my son. I want to sit. I don't care what we do. I want to talk. I want to hear about his day. I want to play piano. I want to go out and play tetherball. I just want to connect. I don't care what we do with our time necessarily, right? And that's what prayer is about. Ultimately, it's a chance for me and God to have that moment. And am I thanking? Am I asking? Am I praising? That's a detail, but that's not the essence of prayer. The essence of prayer is not making a request. The essence is connection, tofel. And then the third one relates to Elul, which is tshuva, right? So tshuva, we normally call it repentance. And what does repentance imply? It implies that I did something wrong. I was a bad person. I have to improve myself now, right? I messed myself up, and now I have to make myself better, right? I have to make up for who I've become, so to speak. Tshuva, I think many of us know, what does tshuva literally mean? Return. So return versus repentance. Repentance means I'm a bad person. I have to now improve myself so that I can be accepted again. Return means I was always this spark of godliness itself. I just forgot. I just buried it. That aspect of myself is something that's now hidden and I forgot it. But that's who I am. And I'm not making myself better. I'm not improving myself. I'm not really at my root a bad person trying to get better. What I am is I'm a spark of godliness returning to who I am. Because that's actually me. I just forgot it for whatever reason over the year.